In the steel and concrete canyons of a modern city, the tank is both a king and a prisoner. Today, we're peeling back the layers of urban armored warfare, not with battlefield stories, but with cold, hard physics. Forget what you think you know. This is a world where every shot is a complex equation, and survival is measured in millimeters of steel and meters per second. We're going to trace the brutal journey of a kinetic energy penetrator, a heavy steel slug, as it navigates the treacherous corridors of a city. Imagine this: a 70-ton behemoth maneuvering through a street barely wider than its own hull. Every corner is a potential ambush, every window a firing position. The first challenge isn't the enemy, it's the environment itself. The tight confines restrict movement, expose vulnerable side and rear armor, and turn every engagement into a close-quarters brawl. Now, let's talk about the weapon. We're focusing on the tank's main gun, specifically the armor-piercing, fin-stabilized discarding Sabao round, or APF-SDS. Think of it as a giant, incredibly fast metal dart. This isn't about explosives. It's about pure kinetic energy. The slug itself, often made of tungsten or depleted uranium, is incredibly dense and travels at speeds exceeding Mach 5. Its sole purpose is to punch through armor using overwhelming force. When this projectile leaves the barrel, it's a testament to raw power. But in a city, that power meets a new kind of resistance: the urban landscape. Our first scenario: a shot against a fortified building corner where enemy infantry is hiding. As the round screams toward its target, we see its initial trajectory. The physics is straightforward: mass times velocity squared. But the moment it strikes the reinforced concrete and rebar, the equation gets messy. The impact is catastrophic. The kinetic energy, which has to go somewhere, is transferred to the masonry. We're not just chipping away at the building. We're causing a localized earthquake. The concrete doesn't just break, it shatters explosively. This is called spalling. Fragments of concrete are ejected from the back of the wall at high velocity, turning the building's own structure into a deadly spray of shrapnel for anyone hiding behind it. We'll analyze the fragmentation patterns using high-speed simulations. You'll see how the angle of impact changes everything. A perpendicular strike maximizes energy transfer, blowing a clean hole through the wall. But a glancing blow at a shallow angle can cause the round to ricochet, sending it careening down the street in an unpredictable and lethal new path. The city itself becomes a pinball machine of death. But what happens when the target isn't a building, but another tank hiding in ambush? This is where things get even more interesting. Modern tanks are covered in explosive reactive armor, or ERA. These are small bricks of explosive material sandwiched between steel plates. The idea is simple. When an incoming projectile hits, the ERA brick detonates outward. This explosion disrupts the penetrator, either by shattering it, tumbling it, or pushing it off course before it can reach the main armor. It's a shield that fights back. So, how does our kinetic energy slug defeat it? It's a race against time, measured in microseconds. The ERA detonation creates a powerful jet of force. Our APF-SDS round has to be dense and fast enough to punch through this counterblast before it can be effectively neutralized. We'll break down the specific forces at play, showing how the design of the penetrator, its length, diameter, and material properties is optimized to withstand this initial explosive shock and continue its journey toward the hull. Let's look deeper. We analyzed the trajectory shifts that occur the instant the round interacts with an ERA panel. The outward explosion imparts a lateral force on the projectile. Even a tiny deviation, a fraction of a degree, can be the difference between a successful penetration and a harmless glance off the main armor. We can model this. We'll see how the slug might slightly tumble or yaw after passing through the era. This is critical. A perfectly stable rod delivers maximum energy to a single point. A tumbling rod spreads that energy over a larger area, drastically reducing its penetrating power. Tank designers and ammunition engineers spend their entire careers trying to solve this single problem: how to keep the penetrator flying straight even after being hit by an explosion. Now let us switch gears and look at the tank S nemesis in the city: the tank destroyer. These are often lighter, more mobile vehicles, or even infantry teams, armed with guided missiles or powerful cannon rounds designed specifically for urban attrition. We're going to focus on high-explosive anti-tank or heat rounds. Unlike our kinetic dart, a heat round doesn't rely on speed and mass. It uses a chemical reaction. The warhead contains a shaped charge. Upon impact, the explosive focuses its energy to create a superheated, hypervelocity jet of molten metal, typically copper, that travels at over 7 kilometers per second. This jet doesn't melt through armor. It pushes it aside under immense pressure, a phenomenon called hydrodynamic penetration. It literally treats solid steel like a liquid. The physics here is fascinating. The effectiveness of a heat round is determined by something called the standoff distance, the distance from the warhead to the target upon detonation. There's a sweet spot. To close, and the jet doesn't have time to form properly. Too far, and the jet loses cohesion and power. In an urban environment, achieving this perfect standoff distance is incredibly difficult. A missile might hit a lamppost, a parked car, or a piece of debris just before it reaches the tank. This premature detonation can render the warhead completely ineffective. We'll model how even a thin chain-link fence, what's known as slat armor, can trigger a heat round early, saving the tank behind it. The city itself provides a chaotic, unpredictable layer of auxiliary armor. This brings us to our core thesis. Urban attrition is a calculated physics problem. It's a relentless battle between penetration mechanics and structural integrity. Every material has a breaking point. For a tank crew, survival depends on understanding the structural density of their own armor versus the kinetic or chemical energy of an incoming threat. It's a game of numbers. How many joules of energy can this composite armor plate absorb? What is the effective thickness of the armor at this specific angle? When a tank is hit, the crew doesn't just hear a bang. They feel the energy transfer through the entire hull. A non-penetrating hit can still be devastating, shearing off optics, damaging the tracks, or causing internal spalling that can injure or kill the crew without ever breaching the main armor. The shockwave alone can be a weapon. We analyze the fragmentation patterns of different round types inside a vehicle. A kinetic penetrator that gets through the armor doesn't just stop. It can shatter into a cone of lethal fragments, ricocheting around the confined crew compartment. We'll visualize how the angle of entry dictates this internal fragmentation, showing how a hit to the front might be survivable, while a hit to the side could be catastrophic. We can prove, through these physical models, that structural density dictates survival. The choice to reinforce a specific part of the tank with an extra layer of composite material is a decision based on probability and physics, predicting where the most likely and most lethal hits will occur in a dense, three-dimensional urban battlefield. Ultimately, the tank in the city is a rolling physics experiment. Its armor is a complex system of layered defenses designed to counter specific threats. Its weapon is a tool for applying overwhelming force to solve tactical problems. But the environment adds a layer of chaos that complicates every single action. The trajectory of a shell, the detonation of a warhead, the shattering of a wallet, all governed by the laws of physics. By understanding these laws, we can understand the brutal reality of urban armored warfare. It's not just about bigger guns or thicker armor. It's about the intricate, violent dance of energy and matter in a world of concrete and steel. Thanks for watching, and if you found this deep dive into the physics of combat fascinating, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. Stay curious.